back. This is the Gentleman's Talk podcast. Who do we have on deck today? Introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Brian Martin here in Hartford. Been here for 13 years, and I am a motivational speaker, a catalyst coach, helping people kind of navigate the challenges of life. So I'm super excited to be here with my man Charles, and looking forward to where this goes.
I appreciate you, Brian, too. So give a little background on who you are.
I am, among other things, I'm a Christian minister. I am finishing up my undergraduate degree in anthropology, absolutely, at Trinity College here in Hartford. I'm really excited about that. You know about Trinity, obviously, so, you know, things are happening. Yeah. And I love connecting with people like you, Charles, and there are so many other great people that I want to connect you with, because they're looking for more positive black male role models in the city, and you're definitely one of those people, for real. So,
well, I really appreciate
big things.
I really appreciate that. If you have been incarcerated, give us an incarcerated story for if you end up in that situation. And if you have never been incarcerated, even better. So, do you have any words on incarceration?
Well, I know that our nation has made big business out of incarceration. I've never been incarcerated myself. I'd like to credit that to a strong black woman who reared 3 black boys that did not end up in jail or on drugs. So, Ma, that's for you. And so even though I've never been incarcerated, I do know that people that go in, there was a time in this country when incarceration was meant to be reformatory. It was supposed to be, the penitentiary was supposed to produce a sense of penitence, a sense of being sorry for what I've done so that I can return and be a productive member of society. But that got all commercialized, and now people are coming out of incarceration and they're worse than when they went in. So I definitely would say, for those who are listening, do everything you can to not become a part of that system. Find positive people in your life. There are always positive people that you can look for, but you will have to make a choice to follow them instead of the easier choice of doing things that will land you in that space. So
I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna continue on that. So, you know, I'm not gonna swing off from the topic, but I kind of got some opinions on what you were saying.
Absolutely.
As me just being institutionalized, I feel like a lot of women, or just women, they fought for broken men, and it feels like, I know we're not gonna sway all the way to that, but I feel like just being who I am, this is what I see.
Yep.
And when they feel that you have everything put together, they feel that there's no need for them to engage in that interaction.
Got you. So, are you asking for a response?
Yeah, a response to that.
So, I mean, it's so funny that you said that, because now, as you know, an anthropology student, I'm so into this thing of there needs to be like some kind of study that supports that, right? There's a part of me that just right off the bat, I agree with you in the sense that in my experiences, I definitely see that women are drawn to broken men. I don't know if it's the way they are socialized to mother, right? But guys, I notice, are drawn to vulnerable women. So women that are in need or need, like guys, good guys, will be drawn to women that need help. So it's almost like a give and take, a 2-lane road with regard to that. We just see people in need and we want to help them. And then there's an inherent danger to that, of course, because I think when we look at,
because you could be helping somebody that you have nothing to know about them, and then you could put them in a situation that can also put another person in a situation that can end up in a crazy situation.
Absolutely.
And you only have one life. So
right.
So like, at the type of person I am, like, it never, like, for me being who I am, and even being married, like, and I ain't the perfect husband, I ain't gonna lie, like, I did a lot of dirt. So if my wife do dirt, I don't be mad. I'm just making sure people know this, because I wasn't, probably the perfect husband and things of that nature. So at the end of the day, it's just like, I'm just saying, when you're interacting with individuals, I feel it's more about, now that I'm starting to get older, I feel it's more about what they can get from you or you can get from them, instead of like a mutual, especially dealing with women. A woman always wants what she can get out of a situation. And And if she, from just me, just, I know I'm going kind of way off topic, but it's just like, it was kind of these thoughts that just kind of popped into my head. I'm like, you know, we're dealing with different kind of people. Some people want to come out of the situation instead of just doing it for the genuine, oh, I want to see people elevate. Mm-hmm. And I feel that's the type of world we live in. But I feel like a lot of people like wear masks.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They portray one thing, but that's deep down, that's not what they want. And they do that because it's their survival instinct.
Well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. When you're talking about people that are in survival mode, like, and that's why it's so important to me, the work that I do. I also work for a local nonprofit, Hartford Communities That Care, and yeah, absolutely. And through them, I have the privilege of working in an alternative school. So this is where students are expelled from the traditional school. They're sent there usually for a full school year, so a 10-month stint, 180-day stint, as it were. And what ends up happening is, or from what I can tell, is they are in survival mode. And so what I'm trying to do, one of my personal passions, is to get these children out of Hartford, like show them the world that's bigger than Hartford. Because to your point, the idea is, like you said, you know, these people are in survival mode. Everybody in this world is not in survival mode. So we need to show our youth that everyone doesn't operate like that. So I don't come across, I mean, I'm sure in my daily interactions, I come across women who want only what they can get from you, but the majority of women with whom I associate, right, I mean, obviously I'm in church, but like, they're not in survival mode, so they're not trying to suck me dry, right? So there's a variety of women in the world, and if you only see one type of woman in this world, then you're going to think all women are like that, and that's why I want to broaden the minds of our youth.
Tapping me in because maybe me being in an urban neighborhood, and dealing with a lot of urban women, and you know, from good and bad experiences, all experiences. I'm not saying like, you know, I'm in survival mode, but what I see is like, I feel like when I'm dealing with different type of women, if they can't get a certain thing out of me, or get me to like, you know, because I ain't gonna lie, like, you've been around me for years, so you know, like, you kind of like know me, so you know I don't move how the average, like, the average dude move out here, because you know I really have morals and like ethics. Even if I act like I don't, I do have morals and ethics, but it's just like, you know, I feel like sometimes when you just coming up and you just have nobody around you, you just form this thing about, if I do this, you in my circle, why would you want to be close just to pull a person like me down? Because I'm highly educated, and a lot of people are just outside for just being out there they live their day to day, not thinking about a bigger picture.
Absolutely.
But there's nothing wrong with them because people are like that. But I don't think of the world like that.
Right.
I think of the world as, you know, me in like 5 or 6 years of doing the podcast the proper way for the right reasons and having good intellectual conversations without no vulgar language and things like that. These are conversations that are really going to build up and that people will be like, wow, like, people really take time to do it. And I know a lot of people act like they don't listen, but they all listen. And they all watch. They might not say they watch, but they all observe. It could be from a distance, it could be from up close, it could be from whatever perspective they're doing. It's just for me just observing what I see in the world. Am I wrong for that?
No, I mean, I think you actually touched on a couple of good things. And I think one of the things, let me like kind of prophesy for a moment, because you always say, oh, Brian, what you said came true. And the thing is, your circle is going to continue to grow. And you're going to have to make a continual choice as to whether or not you're going to stay where you've been, or if you're going to go to where you could potentially go. Your circle is going to get bigger. You're going to meet people that have never been to Hartford.
You know what's crazy? Now, speaking about that, a man came up to me when I was in my work van, and he was like, he wanted me to be a caterer driver for whatever catering company he had, because he's like, oh wow, he just saw a young dude, and I saw him at the Gold Store over there at the plaza, in Walmart Plaza, and he runs some jewelry, so I was getting my jewelry clean. And so when I went in, he was like, oh, you look sharp. He's like, you got some nice hair, you a sharp dude. And this is an older gentleman, so I'm like, and I ran into him again, he was like, it's no coincidence. Right. So it was just like, what you just said, it just happened today.
Right, and And I want to make it abundantly clear. This is not something that's special to Charles. Anybody can do this.
No,
what keeps people from doing this is the mentality. Is the fact that if you grow up in an urban setting, 10 times out of 9, you're piled on top of other people, you're squished into small spaces, that changes our interaction with one another, it changes our perspective on the world, and so what ends up happening is we go into survival mode. We think everybody is out to get us because everybody else is thinking that we're out to get them. Mm-hmm. So now we got high stress levels, cortisol levels are off the chart, we're feeding our anxiety, we're battling obesity, we're battling hypertension. All of these things are a result of us being smushed in together, right? So now, what I'm saying to you is, and what I'm saying to anyone who's listening, it doesn't have to be that way, but you're going to have to overcome obstacles in order for it to not be that way. So my man Charles, what's going to end up happening with him, because it's already been happening over the years that I've known you, you keep meeting the right people. But the reason you're meeting the right people is you're not staying inside your apartment waiting for them to knock on your door. You're out there. They see you, they get to observe you, and because you're doing the work, each time you're going to meet somebody that has more social capital. You're going to meet people who are able to introduce you to greater opportunities. Again, this isn't just Charles. This is anybody that's willing to do the work. Then what's going to end up happening is Charles is going to have to make a choice, just like anybody else is going to have to make a choice. And the choice is going to be, do I continue going in this direction? Because if I continue going in this direction, it's going to mean that I might have to, in fact, I'm definitely going to have to leave behind some friends, some family members who still have a survival mentality.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy that you're saying that? And I felt, it's weird when he come around me like, and there goes another prophesize. You know, me and my brother had kind of been a little distant because he wants to make vulgar music, and the entrepreneur business for mentorship, they don't give out grants and money or them type of capitalization for real estate for that type of art. Mm-hmm. They give that type of money out for people that are invested into the society for the right reasons. And I done got information from my wife and others, or a lot of people, my foster father, yourself, my neighbor Al, a couple OGs in the hood. So it's like, what you're saying, it makes sense because I'm seeing what you're saying in real life time. Right. I'm seeing you know how you sit back, it's like a movie. But now I'm starting to observe the movie from the outside. Right. I ain't gonna lie, I used to look at because this is a movie. So when you're in the movie, you're actually in it. Right. So now I'm taking myself, I'm in the movie, but I also can take myself out of the movie. Absolutely. And I can observe, like, oh wow, that's like that. Or a person might try to pull this from you because they want to see how you gonna move, or blase, even if they really do respect you or whatever. It's just it's a whole movie. Right. Right. But a real life movie. Right. And that's how life is supposed to be. It's crazy. That's the whole point of it. Life is supposed to be that way for all of us. That somebody could look at our life and be like, dude, it's like you live in a movie. That is what everybody can have. But in order to have that, you've got to put in the work. You've been putting in the work consistently. That's why you're getting what you get. Dude, this is not something, this is going to sound crazy, this is not something reserved for white people. This is not something reserved for Indian people that came over on the boat and were able to get a couple of grants and a scholarship. This is available to anyone who puts in the work, though. There's always going to be obstacles. Immigrants come over, they have to learn the language. They have to figure out, like, they're not moving into a mansion after coming from overseas if they're a refugee and their country is torn apart by civil war. But they do the work. You are doing the work. You are literally proof that it can work, right? But it's going to take massive amounts of work. And to your point, to kind of bring this home, the idea is this: we were never meant in life to be one way. We're supposed to constantly be evolving. There you go. Right? Like, and if you're not evolving, what are you doing? And if you're not putting people that can help you evolve, that are powerful, like powerful people or powerful speakers. Like, you're a powerful speaker, I'm a powerful speaker. There's people that are powerful speakers that you have to, it's like, nah, I ain't gonna lie, I go back to what like my next door neighbor said. You know, he a good church man. I told him he was coming over for the podcast. He was even more impressed because I was like a nice gentleman who's a pastor for the youth was coming to my house. And he was just like, oh, word, you keep doing your thing, but not trying to speak that much harp on that. But one thing I'm starting to understand, and just doing my own knowledge and diligent research, it got to be a brotherhood with a chain link to build up to, cause the way the world, this is what I see now. To make the world it is the way the world, to make the world the way it needs to be, have to be a chain link of men all doing in the same direction. So when all the men are doing the same direction, it will be a chain reaction.
Absolutely.
But I never understood that until I really took myself out of the equation and observed the movie.
Right. That's ultimately exactly the point. The whole point is you can't see it if you're only in it, right? So I'll give you a perfect example. So my brother, one of the principles that he shared with me that stuck with me all these years is that if you're going to live life successfully, you have to be able to zoom in and zoom out. So there has to be the microscopic view and the telescopic view, right? So if you're in the story, that's the microscopic view. You're in it. So it's a close-up, but you can't see everything with a microscope.
You can't.
So now you have to be able to zoom out with the telescope and see the big picture. So the whole point is, so telescope, I'm in a telescopic view, I've zoomed out, I know I need to go in that direction. That's where I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go in that direction. But now when I'm microscoping, dude, I'm on street level. I can't see everything anymore, right? I'm not at 50,000 feet. I'm boots on the ground. So every now and again, to make sure I'm still going in the right direction, I gotta zoom back out again. I gotta make sure that when I got sick and I was out of work for a week and gained 5 pounds and developed a cough and my friend said I was acting weird, I now have to zoom out, right? Get out of the movie to make sure, dude, am I walking? Right? Like, am I doing this right? So we have to be able to zoom in, microscope, zoom out, telescope. And a lot of people cannot, they have not learned how to do
that. Because it's like, I feel like whatever you just said, I feel like that's what's happening to me. Alright, on to the next question. That was like a nice little like intermission, but it needed to be talked about. Next question on the Gentleman's Talk podcast is: do you know who the 44th president is?
The 44th president?
Yeah.
Oh man, I asked him for the questions and he wouldn't give them to me. This is why he was going to throw a pop quiz. The 44th president?
Yeah.
Is that? Man, I'm gonna get this wrong on this podcast, man. This is bad. Because wasn't Obama 45?
What's the answer? I'm not gonna give you the answer. I didn't even go get it after.
So who's president before Obama? Yo, that's crazy. I know presidents. Like, this is crazy. Okay.
This is all audio, so shout out to that. Yo, we gonna take a nice picture at the end.
Yeah, okay, good. So they can't see my face right now. That's perfect. 44th president. Who was the president before Barack Obama? Was it Bush?
Is that the answer?
I'm gonna go with Bush.
It was wrong. It was Barack Obama is the 44th president.
He's 44?
Yes, he is.
So Trump is 45?
Yes, he is.
Wow. I gotta go back to class, kid. What?
That's what I'm here to teach.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to tap into another topic that you're probably not really familiar with it.
Okay.
But we're going to tap into it anyway. All right. Tupac Shakur, obviously he died. Keefe D told Vlad is a detective that works on YouTube. He also works for the police. He told Keefe D said that his nephew Orlando Lane he passed a gun to kill Tupac. How do you feel about people giving illegal guns out to kill people, or you don't feel nothing about that topic?
No, I probably don't feel as strongly as others feel about it, because I do feel like I don't feel that there's anything inherently wrong with owning a firearm. However, when the moment you include the words illegal and youth, that's wrong right off the bat. That is a recipe for disaster.
P. Diddy said in 1996, 1997, he does not care if Big or Tupac died. If you're a fan of either one of those, how do you feel about those remarks?
Well, I grew up in church, so I was not a fan of either one of them, but I am a proponent for human life. And clearly, I think that one of the things that we have to keep in mind is the lifestyle of people like Diddy, people in the industry. Sometimes you can be surrounded by people that will ingratiate themselves to you. They become yes men. They become sycophants where they tell you everything you want to hear, and you start believing your own hype, and you start disregarding the importance and the sanctity of life.
So I have a question. If a person does that, do they have your best interest? And do you feel a lot of people, women and men, do that in the world nowadays?
Well, to answer the first question,
from what you see,
right. So the first question is, do I feel like someone who feels like what Diddy expressed? Do they have whose best interest in mind?
Others,
absolutely not.
So do you feel that is there a lot of those people out there in the world nowadays and in the past days?
Well, I think that goes back to what we said before. If you're in survival mode, the survival mode means that it's either you or me, right? Survival mode means if a bear meets a deer in the forest,
yeah, it's gonna be the deer.
Right, it's either you or me. We can't live together, right? Like, I gotta get out of here. That's what the deer is thinking, and the bear is thinking, I gotta eat. Yeah. So if you're in survival mode, everyone in relation to you is either predator or prey. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of people that live like this in the world, right? There are people that would literally kill you to get a slice of bread. They would kill you to put clothes on their children's back. They've gotten to that level where there is no sanctity of life for them.
Oh, wow. Good information to know.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you agree.
I agree, but we living in it.
We living in it, absolutely.
Suge Knight said in Los Angeles back in the day, he can't be touched. How do you feel about a person saying that they cannot be touched, in your opinion?
Look, I'm going to take it to you from Bible and from church, right? Like, there's a scripture that says that pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. I'll take you to another thing. One is
can you explain both of those?
Yeah, absolutely. So pride is this inflated sense of self, right? We should all have a good self-image, but pride is when I think that I am better than the next person. I don't mean better in skill or better financially. Fundamentally, as a person, if I believe I'm better than someone else, that's
so
what
now I have a decent question.
Mm-hmm.
Have I ever come across like that to people you think, or just being around you?
You haven't come across like that to me, but I will say this. I will say that it's possible that you may have come across to other people like that, because the moment I want you to really think about it, and just for everybody listening, the moment you set up in your mind, this is my aim, this is my goal, this is my objective, everybody's not going in that direction. And if these are people that you grew up with, these are people that you were cool with, you got high with them, you got drunk with them, they were your ride or dies and all this kind of stuff. And then you wake up one day and you're like, dude, I need to achieve this thing. I want to be able to get a good job so I can support my children and my wife. I want to climb up the corporate ladder, whatever it is. Then, when you no longer are spending Friday nights with your boys smoking it up or drinking it up or whatever they're doing out there, the minute you say to your boys, yo, I'm not trying to do that anymore, they're going to think that you think that you're better than them. So it's not necessarily always that it's a bad thing, it's how people interpret it. If you don't want to chill with me anymore, I'm definitely going to tell everybody, yo, my boy think he better than everybody now. I'm going to put that word out there because I'm not willing to go in the direction that you're going.
That's a fact. That's good information to know. Okay, next question. What does family mean to you?
Alright, so I don't know if I ever told you this. Did I ever tell you that I was adopted?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know. Okay.
Let's talk about it. Cause
right. So for me, family is anybody that is willing to help me. Right, and I mean on a deep fundamental of not help me with a Chico stick from the corner store. I'm talking about literally, for me to be adopted, there was a man and a woman who had never met me or my brother and decided, we're going to take you in And then when my other brother was born, took him in and then adopted all of us and said, we want you to live with us forever, right? Like, so for me...
But I ain't gonna lie, my foster father did that. He from Hartford.
Right, so...
He quit his job and took me in.
That's family.
He wanted to change my life.
That's family. To me, that's... Like, there was a statement that someone made one time. They said, every relative is not family. And I agree with that. I agree with that. I have... there are women, older women that I know that I call mom, right? And because of what they represent, what they've done, I know they have my best interests in mind. That's family.
That's respectable. R.I.P. to Kevin Samuels. Do you know who Kevin Samuels is?
Yes.
Any words about Kevin Samuels?
I haven't really listened to anything that I haven't listened to him extensively, so I don't want to give an opinion and it be malformed, but I do, based off of what I've heard other people say, and I've heard people that like him, and I've heard people that do not like him, and I just feel like, from what I've heard people say, that I don't know, but I feel like maybe he's saying some of the things that he says for shock value, to be controversial, but underlying it all, there are some truths that I think he points out. And he may exaggerate those truths. I don't exactly know. I wouldn't take his stance. Based on what I've heard of him, I would not approach the subjects that he's broaching the way he does. I wouldn't do that.
Okay. How do you feel about the LGBTQ community being in our local public schools?
They're people. I feel like, right, I grew up in church and it was always about gay bashing, and I was never with that. I always thought to myself, dude, if I hadn't grown up in church, I wouldn't care what these people were doing. Right. So then I realized that when we really look at this idea of sanctity of life, our Father gives everybody an opportunity. You get 70, 80 years, unless you're a super centenarian and you live 116 years, you get about 80 years, whatever, and in that time you get to decide if you're going to do things his way or if you're going to do things your way. So everybody has that choice. Whether you live a lifestyle that is, with which I agree, if you live a lifestyle with which I agree, cool. If you don't, I still have to let you live. The LGBTQIA plus community, to me, I feel like, let them live, right? Like, and then people get upset because they have movies or television shows or they're pushing an agenda in school. Who doesn't want to be represented? You know what I'm saying? Like, I get what they're doing. Do I agree with their lifestyle? No, I do not. However, I will say this, and this might be as controversial. Maybe I'm going to sound like Kevin Samuels now, but this might be controversial. But I feel like, I grew up in church, and I'm in church regularly. There are gay people that I have met, people on the LGBTQIA plus community, who are far nicer than the people I've met in church. So my thing is, let them live. And if we can have open dialogue, and I've had open dialogue with them, if they continue to live their lifestyle and I continue to live my lifestyle, we should still be able to live.
That makes sense. How do you feel about today's upbringing with the youth? Do you feel like they're a bunch of crash dummies, or they're on the right path from what you observe in your daily travels?
Well, you're going to make me Kevin Samuels again because I'm going to say something controversial. I feel like children are being given too many choices. And what I mean by that is, when I was growing up, you were told what your favorite color was. Right now, I'm exaggerating, right? But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't have choice. My mom, right? She cooked a hot meal every day. Like, I remember complaining to her once, like, why can't we be like other families and just get some Mickey D's? Like, it sounds so foolish now. Do you know what children would do to get a home cooked meal, right? Like, and I'm over here complaining, how come we never get pizza? But the thing was, when we sat down for dinner, we ate what she cooked.
Yeah, no choice.
There was no, my sister likes this, but she doesn't like that, and then the other sister likes this, but she doesn't, and my brother like, dude, you ate or you didn't eat, right? And now, I didn't like this, I hated this, but back when I was growing up, because I was growing up with people that grew up in the South, there was no such thing as talking back. You could have a legitimate reason and rationale, and they didn't want to hear it. You just had to sit there and let them talk. But what did it do? As an adult, I realized that what that taught me to do, it taught me impulse control. So that when I get angry, I can't just fly off the handle. It taught me how to be patient and wait for the other person to speak, because they might actually, if you don't interrupt them, they might actually say something that could save your life. So these were hard lessons that I feel children are not learning today. I look at moments when I was in school. I was just thinking about it this morning. I won't go into that whole story, but there was a very difficult moment that I had in the 5th grade, and like I was on the verge of tears in the 5th grade because my teacher was coming down on me. But in my mind, it was like, I can't go to my mom or dad and say anything, because you know what they're going to do? They're going to agree with the teacher. Straight up. So now, like, there was no such thing as my parents going up to the school to beat my teacher down. That was never going to happen, dude. I could very well get embarrassed by getting beat in front of the class. Right? Now, I'm not saying that, you know, corporal punishment is the answer for everything, because my mom's never even beat me, right? Like, it wasn't even like that kind of household. But the idea was, what they did instill in me was discipline. And that's what I see lacking in our children. Discipline, to me, the easiest definition of discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when it ain't fun. And people, these children today, no impulse control, no patience, terrible temper tantrums, and just a total lack of regard for those who have gone before them.
I ain't gonna lie, I feel like sometimes my impulse would be a lot like...
Dude, you should have grew up in my household, brother. You should see me, my brothers, my sisters maybe to a lesser degree, but like...
Sometimes I be like, you know, when I be, because I did the older one. Sometimes I be like, damn, how come she stays with me so long? And I ain't the greatest individual.
You got yourself a good woman. You got yourself a good woman. So then it comes down to, if you got yourself a good woman, then you owe it to her to be a good man. Ain't easy, but that's what you owe her. I know that wasn't one of your questions, but you know.
I ain't gonna lie, we got some other questions. What inspires your work ethic?
Yo, this is gonna sound very, very patronizing, but I think one of the things that inspires my work ethic is you. Honest to God. Like, for real, I am amazed by what is happening in your life. Every 2 weeks or every 10 days when you call me and you're like, yo, I met so-and-so, and I think, well, what am I doing with my life? Because how's all this stuff happening for Charles? And, like, I'm coming along, but this dude is growing by leaps and bounds. So that inspires my work ethic. It's like, yo, I got to keep moving the needle. I gotta keep pushing this thing forward. And you are one of the people that I feel our Father has placed in my life to, when I zoom out and look, I'm like, this dude is doing it. So kudos to you.
When you came into my house, because we doing the podcast at the house, I don't care who knows what it is. People come by, artists. He came in, he saw my laptop at work. Yeah. So I ain't gonna lie, like, I take this very seriously because, you know, I don't like that they give a bad narrative about the minority community. Like, and I ain't gonna lie, I ain't from the hood, but you know, my family from Harlem. I'm from Harlem, but you know, I got family out here, but I really don't know my family out here. So it's like you gotta know how to adapt to certain things, and that's one thing I'm learning. That's just being an individual. You have to adapt, and sometimes you have to accept certain things, no matter whatever the outcome is. You have sometimes this is one thing I'm learning about situations in life. You have to be outcome independent.
I like that.
A lot of people don't understand that.
Right.
Because when you be outcome independent, you have less. When you're dealing with people, you have less expectations.
Absolutely.
So because a lot of people, they're never going to meet your expectations no matter what. So when you're dealing with people, when you know a lot of people ain't going to meet your expectations because a lot of people are just in the movie.
Right.
They're not. Right. They're not. Right. They're in the movie.
Right. Right.
They're not.
They don't even have a starring role. They're just cameos.
They're just in the movie.
Right. Yeah.
So like, you know, I ain't gonna lie, and I do a lot of research in my spare time. Like, even my neighbor come by, he was like, "You was studying?" Like, not even shout out to my neighbor. Shout out to my neighbor Al, cause he a real one. He go to church every month. Shout out to all the people that go to church where myself really needs to be. I ain't gonna lie.
Oh yeah, because once the zone, we gonna talk.
I'm not gonna lie, but you know, at least I'm being being honest.
Absolutely.
And I'm giving a different narrative without vulgar language from other people giving me, you know, jewels to enhance the work that needs to be done the right way for the right reason. Just not to say we doing it just to do it. So.
True.
Cause I ain't gonna lie, like, not to switch off the topic, they shut down my platform. And maybe because I was doing it for the wrong reason. So now I'm rebuilding my platform. So that's the real reason I had to get you back on, because when I was doing my platform, I had a lot of vulgar, a lot of information that, how could you consider yourself a mentor and you doing that type of work? So as